Hello, this is Kylie J.N.S, and I just wanted to cover this topic very briefly. I'm gonna try to share my screen. I'm new to using like these type of technologies, but I also am recording via analog, just in case like something gets shut off while um, we're discussing what we're discussing. Let me just make sure the sound is good. Just want to test that everything's working because I don't want to be sitting here presenting information and it's not even it's not even okay, there we go. Okay, so the sound is good. And so obviously the title of this video is the alien invasion a government psyop or is it a cover up for something else? Now obviously I use alien invasion in quotation marks because we see like this obsession, this conception in the mainstream media with like this occupation with this alien invasion, this UFO stuff. We see them talking about it in Congress and whatnot. And so let me show you something that was posted. Let me see. I hope you guys can see this. Okay, here we go. And so the New York Post had reported that the Pentagon UFO chief resigns after warning recent sightings could be foreign powers or aliens. And so his last farewell warning was that there's either, um, entities that are in our backyard playing on our top, or it could be foreign powers. And he said that it would be preferable if it was quote unquote aliens and not foreign powers because I guess in terms of like the amount of UFOs that they're finding and UAPs that they're finding is just so surmountable, and so I guess to them perhaps it takes away this fear if it is quote unquote aliens. I really hate that term. I think that is such a childish term. And so what I'm seeing in like this narrative being built up, um of them trying to seem like they're trying to warm the public up to these ideas and make them more mainstream. And so another thing that I noticed was that NASA they had started something. Well, the Space Force was started in 2019 by the Air Force, but also NASA had came out and said that they were going to like start like some sort of programs to pretty much propaganda to get people more familiarized with the idea of UFOs and stop making it sound so quote unquote crazy. Because back in the day, you know, the UFO community was laughed at. They were seen as the quacks. Even though like when Sun Ra was one of the first to come up with this space age type thing, one of the first. He actually brought the idea of UFOs into public consciousness 10 years before it was popularized. And so but what happened is that they would just laugh you off or just whatever. And so I just find it interesting in 2023 that this is now something that they are being consumed with, as far as like the players that be, or what you guys call the powers that be. But it seems like to me that this could also be a psyop. I think a lot of these things they serve multiple functions, and in terms of it's like you never let how they look at it is you never let a crisis go to waste. And so you exploit narratives and for your benefit, and with these people think it's ultimately for more power and control, or if with the way they run things is based on a fear-based system. And so when I see them really going hard with this narrative, I'm like, damn, it's still the inorganic ones, as we call them, lost. They still going with their childish actions. And so you know it's a little bit of both. This is a psyop, but there's also some truth to it. So yes, the government, they've been new about this UFO shit. Like it is nothing new. Like it is really nothing new. And this UFO chief resigning, he probably just he's in over his pay grade with this stuff, because for one, what they're calling aliens, They're not really aliens. It's more of interdimensional in a sense. I don't know if you guys are familiar with David Icke, but he had been trying to tell the public about this stuff for like 40 years now, and now people are more warming up to what he has to say, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, he's not so crazy after all." But when he first came out with his books, like in the 90s, and I was a baby, so I had to go back and research his stuff, but people was really looking at that stuff like, what in the world? You don't really lost your mind there. Um, but David Icke, he's on to something when he tries to warn you that a lot of this stuff is ran astrally, and interdimensionally. And so this idea of, like, aliens, quote unquote, it's a very mundane, very childish way to look at this. It's a very and that they kind of want you in this hysteric, this hysteria of this unknown, like, oh, are we being invaded, are we da, 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 da. And you can't be already invaded if these motherfuckers been here for tens of thousands of years, since the beginning of time. And again, you as humans, the collective of humanity is a mixture of DNA, of different types of DNA in an interdimensional sense. Most of the human genome, though they say that the genome has been mapped, 20 years ago, don't quote me on that, but yeah, they came up with this genome project of trying to map the DNA. They don't understand the full complexity of human DNA. That's why in Africa they talk about the tribes that got ghost DNA. And I think they say when you take these DNA tests, it's only sampling about 0.01% of your DNA or whatever. And so for those that really, can rock, at least try to understand the modicum of what I'm saying. Many of you would, quote unquote, be the interdimensional being. Many of you are not indigenous to planet Earth. And so you may be under a memory swipe time loop. And so or under religious indoctrination, even worse. And so you're not even capable of understanding, what's really going on, if you're into fundamentalist thinking, because most of those religious doctrines, they point you in the right direction. They point you into the fact that there were always interdimensional beings here. You guys might have called them Nephilim, you guys might have called them angels, fallen angels, deities, fairies. You guys were calling them all types of shit for tens of thousands of years. And we see, like, in many of these ancient texts, like the Rig Veda or the Bhagavad Gita, or them talking about nuclear saucers in the sky, and humans, these interdimensional beings fighting and blowing each other up and all types of stuff thousands of years ago. And so it should be nothing new. And I think it's an insult to human intelligence for, the media to come out with such ridiculous titles of some of the things that they are, you know, putting out there, like, the Pentagon UF chief resigns after sightings could be foreign powers or aliens. Like, that's such a childish, it's an insult to humans for them to come out with some childish stuff like that. Because for one, y'all know that interdimensional beings been running this system for a minute. It's always been that way. It might have been secret. But here's the thing. I'm just going to keep it a buck. There are some interdimensional beings that feel that it's just time, that have come back into flesh, 3 to 5D consciousness, will you? And they personally feel, and they're above 3 to 5D. They just can appear in flesh, is what I mean by that. But they are certainly above 5D consciousness. They just came back in human flesh. And so, but they are more powerful than the pretty much what you would call the ancient ones. But they're more powerful than the ones that's currently running you guys. And they feel like the shit should just be out in the open. That it should have never been a secret. That at one point it was never a secret. And so there's a war. There's high level beefs between and it's not even how they talk about, like, oh, these families rule this and the families did this and that. It's way above that. because they take orders from the beings from the interdimensional beings. And so it's a war amongst them. This is deeper than that. These are like, look, um, we back and we feel that humanity should be told the truth about everything, that humanity should be brought up to speed in terms of their enlightenment, in terms of getting them on a higher level, in terms of, the enslavement of humanity has to stop. Humanity has to rise in consciousness. This planet needs to be protected. We're going to do some things with this planet. You got those type of beings that feel that way, and they lay down the law, and they're very, very powerful. And then you have other interdimensional beings, some that were created by lesser, how do I say this? They're kind of like homunculus deities. That's the best way I can explain it. So they're more powerful than the humans that they run, but at the same time, they're not more powerful than the ancient ones, than the ones that put the whole set in motion. And so they were given, so it's this clash. And then you got, people, they're going to die on their sword, as far as like these, the interdimensional beings that don't want to leave and accept the change of guard that's happening. And so I'm talking spiritually. This is just spiritual channeling, because I know they be trying to it just look. It's the same stuff that's in the Book of Enoch. It's the same stuff that's in every text. You interpret it the way you want to interpret it. You don't have to take it literal. You can look at it through a science lens. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that it's just this big hoopla as far as like where we want to take the direction of planet Earth. Where do we want to take the direction of collective consciousness? And so you just have a group of beings that want to see the ascension, and then you have a group of beings that want control and enslavement and power, and they don't know how to raise their frequency as homunculus deities, so they get off on seeing a lot of fear-based trauma. So they reversed engineered energy source of how to derive energy, and so they pretty much use you guys as a fucking battery. That's the long and short of it. And so the thing is so many things going on up there astrally. So many things going on astrally that many of you humans can see. Many of you humans can certainly feel it, or you actually know about what I'm saying. It may not be popular to talk about it because the thing is, this realm is so focused on the material, it's so focused on it's very logic based, and so, and it's scientific based, but even they made a religion out of science, but it's so logic based, and not, and they don't tap into the intuitive realm, and so everything is material. And so humans are programmed to think very, very, very material, even though they they'll, at the same time as they'll believe in the Bible, or but they are so geared towards just everything is the physical material. And then I guess when they die, that's when they're going to experience the spiritual. And that's a very dangerous way of looking at the world, because it does deceive you. Your eyes deceive you in terms of this dharma urge, this material reality that we're in, or what they call, the Hindus call Maya illusion. I think the Buddhists call it that too. And so this is what you see. And what makes it, like I said, it's dangerous, because this whole world, this earth, is a dimension. It's just a certain frequency that allows things to appear physical matter. And so separating the material from the spiritual is what has gotten humans to fall from their grace, and it allowed them to be tricked. It allowed them to be tricked. It allowed them to go for the okie doke, the separation of God from man, and from the spiritual from the material. That is what is honestly enslaving you. Because if you can understand these realms, that they are astrally, and that even the 3 to 7D, because right now Earth is operating from 3 to 7D silos of consciousness. It is a manifestation of a dimension of consciousness that just happens to be from 3 to 7D. You still do got 2D niggas on this planet, though. You do got 2D vibrational low level niggas on this planet. But for the most part, the silos of consciousness in this dimension is from 2 to 7D. And so what that means is that it's just merely interdimensional. It is not as physical as you think. And so uh combining, separating those two is what is preventing you from going to that next level. And it works in the power that be's favor. It works in the obviously the favor of, I don't think we call them elites anymore, but the players that be, because you're clueless. You're clueless. So then they write these narratives and these articles and these journals and everything that you could possibly that they could possibly program you with, and you get stupid titles like this. Let me see. Here is another one. Not this one. Sorry, that's the wrong one. There was another one that I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, mysterious radio signal reaches Earth after 8 billion years. Mind blowing. You know, like stuff like this. Scientists detect strange radio signal in distant galaxy, which sounds like a heartbeat. This is obviously very interesting. It's very to me, is this is not shocking. I knew in August that all this stuff was going to go down. I I don't want to say this stuff without it'll make me sound, you know, because we're not there yet. As humanity is not there yet to hear these certain things, but um we know the beings that sent out the signal and how they did it. That's all I'll say. Through astral dreams. That's all I'll say. So this mysterious radio signal reaches Earth at the 8 billion years. This sound is like a heartbeat. And so it was so powerful, as you can see, let's see, it says the pulse was so powerful that in under a millisecond, it released as much energy as the sun emits over 30 years. I just want to make sure that you guys can see this. Okay. Yeah, so it released as much energy as the sun emits over 30 years in under just a millisecond. And so this stuff doesn't shock me. It obviously it doesn't shock me, but if you notice, you're going to start seeing more stuff like this come into the media consciousness in terms of the propaganda. And this is not a psyop. You know, this is real shit. Before this happened, I knew this was coming. I knew that the signals was coming to Earth and all types of stuff. But to me, it's like they're making it sensationalized, and that's what I don't like. Like it's like they're making it to where you guys had to like they want you guys in some type of fear, or they want it to sound so ridiculous that it's just giving psyop tease. And so it's both in, but really it's more so, it's not so much that it's a cover up, it's just more so like, okay, how do we reveal this stuff to the public, um by still covering their hands that they have always been running this system pretty much. And so they have to figure out a way to do that. It's as simple as that. And also there was another article that was published that says Earth's most important telescopes are being shut down by an unknown force. And so that was also published. Let me see if let me just, maybe I should stop the screen sharing. And actually, yeah, I'm going to stop the sharing for just a little bit and then look for what I want to show you and then share the screen again. Because what I don't want is to like have to scroll through everything and then you guys are seeing like stuff that's not important to what we're actually discussing. Yes, I wanted to pretty much show you the article that said something about the telescopes being shut down by an unknown force. And so it's a lot of stuff that's being put out in front of you. The thing is, most humans are too distracted anyways. They're still so distracted, so it's not like you guys are even paying attention or even care. And so in that sense, for them, that's a good thing because lack of awareness is what they exploit. Ignorance is what they can benefit from. And so, you know, it is as obnoxious as I may sound saying that, this is just what it is. And so let me see if I can share this again. I just want to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we go. So it says Earth's most important telescopes are being shut down by an unknown force. And so, as you can see, it's just a pattern. It's just a pattern of trying to show you guys, these things about, oh, stuff is being shut down by an unknown force. Signals are being sent, and it's a lot more that I got. These are just some of the ones that I had collected in passing, because at the time I had saw this stuff in dreams coming. Like I had saw like all this stuff was going to take place. Then the situation with the solar flares, how the solar flares was knocking out all of the communications and whatnot. I definitely saw that. That was like the first thing I saw with the solar flare storms. Actually saw that years ago, but I didn't know like what any of that stuff meant. And so, um what I would say as far as my conclusion on this and what this actually means for humanity, because obviously the purpose of even doing a video like this is to just give a harbinger of like, don't give this your energy from the sense of being fearful of whatever the media puts out, whatever the government's going to put out about like, oh, NASA's doing this and Air Force is doing this. We already know that these beings have been coming in and out for millennia. I think many of you probably know more about this stuff than I do. But yes, interdimensional beings are definitely real. They've always been here. The thing is just that it's getting so obvious because so many humans, for one, are waking up. For two, there is a change of guard happening in terms of the interdimensional beings that want to actually run this simulation for a while. What we call the ancient ones. The ancient ones want to run this simulation and change a lot of the things. And one of the things that they really want to do is to be more transparent, to be more honest, um, and they want to elucidate on information that's been misinterpreted, and they want to be upfront that this is what Earth has always. They just want to pretty much come out with the shits and just tell you what it is. But then you have the ones that's currently running the show. They don't want that to happen, and so they're trying to get in front of the narrative. Um, to be honest, they're just trying to get in front of the narrative, and that's a way to look at it. But again, what I want to say is don't um don't allow none of this stuff to put fear in you. You don't need to do anything with it. What I would say for any human where when they really start coming out with this stuff, because they really about to, like, you see what's going on in Congress. I believe one of the, let me see if I can look that up too. Let me stop sharing this. There was a situation where, like in Congress, let me see if I can Google it. Let's see if I can find the video. So it says Congress holds hearing about claims U.S. government has UFO evidence. It says whistleblower says U.S. has found non-human pilots during UFO hearing. This was on USA Today. Let me go here so that you can. Let me not wait. I didn't want to play the video. Okay, so let's see if I can share this again, because you're gonna see more stuff like this. You're gonna see a bunch of stuff like this, and I don't want nobody to think that I'm just pulling up some stuff. This is evidence basis in terms of like some of the things that I'm saying here. I'm just giving you my um when I say evidence based, I mean like as far as the uh inductive reasoning for some of the conclusions that I make, but I'm showing you like some of the evidence that this is something that the media is talking about. This is something that they are pushing as a narrative. And so you see, it says whistleblower says U.S. Found non-human pilots during UFO hearing today. That was on USA Today. That was 3 months ago. This was David Grush, an ex-Pentagon officer. So um, he's testified that the U.S. recovered a crash with non-human pilots. And so, and he says 3 witnesses, all former military members, are testifying before the House oversight. And so they're getting this stuff out little by little to you. They're trying to figure out a way to get this out to you. The thing is, it's a tug of war. It's a tug of war with the players that be. It's like, how do we tell them? Um, how can we make it sound like an alien invasion? Can we make it sound like that? But really, the motherfuckers always been here. They always been here. Many of you humans are definitely mixed in with them. They're not quote unquote aliens. You could call them celestial parallels, or you can call them interdimensional beings. Because most of us are not native to planet Earth. Planet Earth has always been a transitory uh like learning hub, but also a place to experience free will and dense this idea of identity through a meat suit, a body, a human body. And you could be interdimensional and be in human form, but that doesn't make you necessarily a humanoid or Homo sapien. And so you deal with that as well. And so, people like to, oh, Sun Ra's crazy or David Icke is crazy. But now you see uh NASA, you see the Pentagon, you see all of these things now talking about this stuff. And so, also, let's see this. We're just getting you prepared for it. But to be honest, it's something that they already have been knew about. They already knew about this shit. And so, what you do with that information is you continue to focus on your own divinity and you continue to focus on your own soul's mission. Don't get distracted. And like, these beings have always been here. So now that they being revealed, what the fuck does it mean to you? Are they paying your bills? Are they about to give you a UBI check? Are they about to give you a reparations check? Who knows? And so why would you want people distracted so much focusing on this stuff? And it's like, to be honest, the average human subconsciously knows this shit already, whether they want to deny it or not. So as you can see, is this sharing? Okay, it says NASA is adding more resources towards UFO. That was just a year ago. The group of scientists, aviation officials have a former astronaut will study UFO, which related groundwork for future study. So come on, um, and so while this is coming into public consciousness, I would say, for one, um, yes, it's real. It's not necessarily this quote unquote invasion. It's a revealing more so. It is a side. The way they are putting this in the media is a psyop. The way they are portraying this is more of a psyop, but it is a cover up for letting your ass know that they have always been here, and that there is a change of guard, and that the system will be changing drastically. And so, what better way to come up with this narrative? What better way to get you prepared for a change of guard in the system than to blame it on interdimensional being invasion, alien invasion, as they call it? They're under orders that they gotta follow, and that these quote unquote the families and the bankers and the societies and all that they take their orders from these interdimensional beings. But there are ancient beings that are here that done came up in the motherfucking flesh, and they running the show. They're running the narratives, and so things got to change. And so that's what's happening. But as far as like for the average human, if I was you, I wouldn't. For one, I wouldn't be fearful. I will continue to focus on my own divinity, my own enlightenment, my own liberations and freedoms, the things that bring me joy, the things that bring me happiness. I wouldn't get caught up in what they trying to put all in that news or trying to get you to focus on, because they've been here, and that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. They already been here, and so, and you guys most likely know this shit. Many of you have talked about, like, you've seen beings. You've had visitations. You've had visitations. If you guys can look up Jordan Maxwell, he talks about the law of water, the law of admiralty. Um, he talks about like some real high level stuff. I don't agree with everything, but he does talk about like how he would talk with like bankers and talk with some of the more of the big wigs that they would have discussions about. 20 years ago they was discussing this stuff at the top levels because they would have visitations. And so I say that to say, it's to get prepared for more of this stuff to come out in the collective consciousness on the media. They are going to It's going to get real because with this UFO chief, this Pentagon chief resigning, they about to really let some stuff out. They about to really let some stuff out, and take a deep breath. For those of you that's like into the religious indoctrination, get more into um, the actual studies of those texts. When you look at that book of Enoch and the Gnostic teachings, the Nag Hammadi texts, the teachings of the Essenes, and I'm writing a book that's I cover a little bit of this in the upcoming book, and what I also do is I give you all of the codices of like all of the Gnostic teachings, all of the original teachings, that covers this material about interdimensional beings, archons, obviously what they call them, angels in the book, fallen angels, whatever. But you're also going to see, for those of us like that are spiritualists, you're going to see them try to discredit that information. By the way, you're going to see them try to discredit the book of Enoch and the Gnostic teachings, because, and even some of the stuff from the Hindu pantheon, because all of it, that's once they come out with this stuff, it's going to open up Pandora's box. It's going to be a floodgate. And so you're going to see people post like excerpts on social media from the book of Enoch and from like Rig Veda and Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, and you're going to see that they were always interdimensional beings. They're gonna even see some of the things that King David was saying in the book of Psalms, or some of the teachings of Yeshua. You're gonna see that lead to them talking about how they always knew this was kind of a simulation within a simulation, a system ran by interdimensional beings that was hell bent on sucking the soul of humanity. You're gonna see like stuff alluding to that. You're gonna see people bring that forward, and that's when you're gonna see like these spiritualists come out and try to say that the book of Enoch is fake and all this stuff, and they're not fake. They may be labeled heretical, but then it's up to you to decide, like, after understanding the history of how these texts were collated in the first place, it's up to you to decide whether uh or not you deem it heretical, or whether it intuitively makes sense to you. And so that's what I'll leave you with. That had just been on my mind because I'm like, I wish they would really mature the conversation around these things. I really wish they wouldn't insult human intelligence so badly. Because most of you guys know this shit. Like, it's like it wouldn't be, and this, like, it's always this exploitation to get you focused on fear, to get you focused on the root chakra, to get you focused on some shit that don't even matter. And so I just was disappointed in the way I was seeing the titles, and the way that I'm seeing the narrative going. When it's like, just come out and tell you motherfuckers that, just tell them it's not a big deal, and stop trying to get people distracted with the okie doke. Stop trying to get motherfuckers distracted off of their goal. The only thing that humans need to be focused on individually is their divinity of their damn self. You're creating your own IPU. Okay. And that's your personal, because every mind is a universe. And so your only goal while you're here is to create your IPU, and to awaken yourself, and to keep on and hold on to that awareness at all times. And so that's the most important thing. Now, for those of us that are not at the high level where we're creating IPUs, you can go live in somebody else's IPU, and combine your collective consciousness with a group of people, of like-minded people, and create an IPU. That's what I was trying to do with Black Americans before, and I'm still have interest in doing that. I'm just kind of I pivoted a bit because you know some gatekeepers came after me in that whole little reparations thing. That's all I gotta say. And so like that led me to pivot in terms of what my focus. But you can create a collective IPU based on resonance as well. So I will also encourage humans to find people that they resonate with on a deep level, with the same interests, the same goals, the same direction, and start to create an IPU collectively, intentional communities collectively. And you can do that individually. Some of you are just going to go off grid and say, fuck this system. So you do have a choice to make in terms of where your energy is going to go. Energy goes where your attention and attention goes. And so you always gotta be mindful of where the hell your mind is at. And so, um, you're gonna see them talk about this invasion stuff. You're gonna see it so much. You're gonna see alien invasion, alien. Da, 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 da. Again, just continue to focus on yourself. If you have interest in learning about, say, the quote unquote interdimensional beings, there's space for that. There's space in a mature way to do that, and that's why I think that gnosticism is going to become very popular again. Believe it or not, the things that the Catholic Church to bury gnosticism with the Council of Nicaea, you're going to see you're going to see more Christians mature and go into gnostic teachings, and just people in general, and you're going to see them combining gnostic teachings with the teachings of Buddhism and Hinduism. This is what I'm seeing as prophecy. And so it's going to be interesting, but it matures humanity in a sense. But at the same time, don't let nobody distract you from focusing on creating your IPU and ascending, because that's why we on planet Earth anyways. And so that's really what I wanted to say. Thanks for anybody that's listening. And so I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.